Juan Pablo Arango is P11. Ricardo Pineda in T7 is 9th on mediums. Jose Miguel Moncada in T11 is 8th. Ricardo Pineda in T3A is P9. Jean-Pierre Ferrin from Colombia in T6 is 2nd. The qualification session is at Sonoma Raceway, formerly known as Sears Point Raceway, 1967 Euro 2001, and Infineon Raceway, 2002 Euro 2012, in Sears Point, Sonoma, California, USA. The wind speed is 2 km/h from the southeast. Ricardo Pineda from Colombia is P4 on mediums. Sebastián Aristizabal from Colombia is 4th on softs. Karen from Colombia in T7 is P6 on mediums. Yanli from China is P5 on supers. Ricardo Pineda in T2 is P8. Ricardo Pineda is up 23.68 in T5. Ricardo Pineda is up 23.34 in T8. Ricardo Pineda is up 23.21 in T11. Ricardo Pineda is up 0.73 in T3. Ricardo Pineda is up 1.25 in T7. Ricardo Pineda is up 1.12 in T10. Ten minutes remaining in the session. Ricardo Pineda improved his P6 with a 131.684. 2.774 off pole. Yanli is fourth up 0.16. Best lap is a 129.542. 0.632 off pole. Yanli is up 0.06 in T11. Diego Ortiz from Colombia is 9th up 14.36 on softs. Juan Barbosa is P7 up 0.57 on softs. Sebastian Aristizabal in T11 is P9 up 16.94. Yanli is P5 up 0.47. Yanli is provisional pole with the 129.153. Sebastian Aristizabal is P6 up 0.27. Juan Pablo Arango is P7 up 0.35 on softs. J.Enriquez from Colombia in T6 is 4th up 0.24 on mediums. J.Enriquez is up 0.50 in T8A. J.Enriquez is provisional pole with a 128.571. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T7 is 3rd up 0.17. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is up 0.19 in T10. Jean-Pierre Ferrand improved his P3 with a 128.726. 0.547 off pole. Diego Ortiz in T9A is P11 up 19.23. 5 minutes remaining in the session. Juan Barbosa is P9 up 1.12 on supers. Juan Barbosa improved his P6 with a 129.672. 1.493 off pole. Ricardo Pineda in T12 is 10th. Ricardo Pineda improved his P10 with a 130.715. 2.536 off pole. Juan Pablo Arango is 8th up 0.71. Juan Pablo Arango improved his 7th with a 129.531. 1.352 off pole. Juan Barbosa in T7 is 8th up 0.16. Best lap is a 129.672. 1.493 off pole. Yanli is 4th up 0.17. Diego Ortiz is P11. Diego Ortiz improved his 11th with a 131.101. 2.922 off pole. Yanli is 4th up 0.15. Juan Pablo Arango in T8A is P7 up 0.28. Juan Pablo Arango improved his 5th with a 129.238. 1.059 off pole. Esteban Gomez from Colombia in T11 is 7th on softs. Esteban Gomez improved his P4 with a 129.046. 0.867 off pole. Diego Ortiz in T11 is 11th. Diego Ortiz improved his 9th with a 130.472. 2.293 off pole. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T7 is P3 up 0.10. Christian Gomez from Colombia in T3 is P1 up 0.26 on softs. Juan Barbosa in T5 is 8th up 0.19. Christian Gomez is 1st up 0.17. Best lap is a 128.179. Christian Gomez is up 0.35 in T10. Diego Ortiz in T12 is P9. Diego Ortiz improved his 9th with a 130.316. 2.137 off pole. The qualifying session is now in overtime. Christian Gomez is provisional pole with a 128.003. Sebastián Aristizabal is 7th. Jose Miguel Moncada is P10. Jose Miguel Moncada is up 0.32 in T6. Jose Miguel Moncada is up 0.19 in T8. Jose Miguel Moncada is up 0.42 in T11. Jose Miguel Moncada improved his P9 with a 129.938. 1.935 off pole. The race session is at Sonoma Raceway, formerly known as Sears Point Raceway, 1967 Euro 2001, and Infineon Raceway, 2002 Euro 2012, in Sears Point, Sonoma, California, USA. The wind speed is 2 km/h from the southeast. Christian Gomez is first. J.Enriquez from Colombia is second on mediums. Jean-Pierre Ferrand from Colombia is third on mediums. Esteban Gomez from Colombia is P4 on softs. Yan Li from China is P5 on supers. Juan Pablo Arango is 6th on softs. Sebastián Aristizabal from Colombia is 7th on softs. Juan Barbosa is 8th on supers. Jose Miguel Moncada from Colombia is P9 on mediums. Diego Ortiz from Colombia is 10th on softs. Ricardo Pineda from Colombia is P11 on mediums. Gerson Robia from Colombia is P12 on softs. Christian Gomez from Colombia is first on softs. Race start. J.Enriquez in T2 is P2. Sebastián Aristizabal in T4 is 4th. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is 10th. Gerson Robia is P6. Yan Li is 9. Yan Li passed Diego Ortiz frame. Diego Ortiz is 9. Gerson Robia is P6 on softs, 0.4 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Esteban Gomez is P10, 0.5 behind Diego Ortiz. Gerson Robia from Colombia in T9A is 6th, 0.6 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Juan Barbosa is 11th, 0.5 behind Diego Ortiz. Juan Barbosa passed Diego Ortiz for P10. Diego Ortiz entering the pits is P11. Yanli is P8, 0.5 behind Ricardo Pineda. Jean-Pierre Perrin entering the pits is 12th. Gerson Robia from Colombia in T4 is 6th, 0.5 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Diego Ortiz exiting pits on softs. Ricardo Pineda from Colombia in T6 is 8th, 0.3 behind Yanli. Gerson Robia in T9A is P6. Best lap is a 1:31.295. 1.700 off the fastest lap. Jean-Pierre Perrin exiting pits on mediums. Esteban Gomez in T1 is 9th, 0.7 behind Ricardo Pineda. Esteban Gomez was 2.6 faster last lap. Ricardo Pineda in T4 is P9 battling Esteban Gomez. Juan Barbosa in T6 is P10, 0.1 behind Ricardo Pineda. Juan Barbosa passed Ricardo Pineda for P9. Sebastián Aristizabal is P4, 0.8 behind Juan Pablo Arango. Gerson Robia in T3 is P6, 0.8 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Juan Barbosa in T6 is P9, 0.7 behind Esteban Gomez. Sebastián Aristizabal is 4th, 0.5 behind Juan Pablo Arango. Juan Barbosa in T12 is 9, 0.5 behind Esteban Gomez. Gerson Robia in T6 is 5th, 0.5 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Juan Barbosa is 9th on Supers, 0.4 behind Esteban Gomez. Gerson Robia in T11 is P5, 1.0 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Esteban Gomez is P9, 0.1 behind Juan Barbosa. Jose Miguel Moncada in T3 on lap 7 is P6, 0.1 behind Yanli. Sebastian Aristizabal in T6 is P7, 0.5 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Esteban Gomez is 9, 0.8 behind Juan Barbosa. Gerson Robia in T12 is 4th, 0.2 behind Juan Pablo Arango. Gerson Robia passed Juan Pablo Arango for 3rd. Jose Miguel Moncada is P6, 0.5 behind Yanli. Jose Miguel Moncada is now 5th. Sebastian Aristizabal in T4 is P6, 0.4 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Sebastian Aristizabal was 7.6 faster last lap. Juan Barbosa in T7 is P7, 0.5 behind Sebastian Aristizabal. Juan Pablo Arango in T10 is P4, 0.2 behind Gerson Robia. Gerson Robia was 3.7 faster last lap. Juan Pablo Arango lost P6 to Juan Barbosa. Juan Pablo Arango lost P8 to Ricardo Pineda. Yanli entering the pits is P10. Juan Barbosa is 6th on Supers, 0.6 behind Sebastian Aristizabal. Sebastian Aristizabal in T6 is 5th, 0.4 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Juan Barbosa in T9A is 6th. Best lap is a 1:30.111. 1.374 off the fastest lap. Juan Barbosa entering the pits is P6. Sebastian Aristizabal in T2 is P5, 0.5 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Juan Pablo Arango entering the pits is 9th. Juan Pablo Arango is P9. Sebastian Aristizabal from Colombia in T5 is P5, 0.8 behind Jose Miguel Moncada. Juan Barbosa is 9th on mediums. Juan Barbosa exiting pits on mediums. Juan Pablo Arango exiting pits on mediums. Juan Barbosa passed Juan Pablo Arango for 8th. Ricardo Pineda is 7th, 4.2 behind Esteban Gomez. Esteban Gomez from Colombia is 6th. Yanli exiting pits on mediums. Juan Pablo Arango is 9th on mediums, 3.4 behind Juan Barbosa. Juan Pablo Arango entering the pits is P9. Jose Miguel Moncada in T9A is P4, 3.9 ahead of Sebastian Aristizabal. J.Enriquez in T6 is 2nd. Yanli entering the pits is P12. Diego Ortiz in T8 is 9th. Yanli exiting pits on mediums. Gerson Robia is P3 on softs. Jose Miguel Moncada in T2 is 4th. J.Enriquez is P2. Best lap is a 129.298. 0.837 off the fastest lap. Christian Gomez is first. Jose Miguel Moncada in T2 is P4. Yanli entering the pits is 11th. Jean-Pierre Ferrand on lap 13 is P10, 3.9 behind Diego Ortiz. J.Enriquez Enriquez is second. Diego Ortiz is P9, 1.3 ahead of Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Diego Ortiz lost 9th to Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Ricardo Pineda in T2 is 7, 3.9 behind Esteban Gomez. Juan Pablo Arango exiting pits on mediums. Diego Ortiz entering the pits is P10. J.Enriquez Enriquez entering the pits is P2. J.Enriquez Enriquez is P2. Jose Miguel Moncada is 4th. Sebastián Aristizabal is 6th on softs battling Esteban Gomez. Sebastián Aristizabal was 1.6 faster last lap. Sebastián Aristizabal passed Esteban Gomez for 5th. Sebastián Aristizabal passed J.Enriquez for 4th. J.Enriquez exiting pits on softs. Ricardo Pineda is P7. Best lap is a 1:31.208. 2.747 off the fastest lap. Juan Barbosa in T12 is 8th. Ricardo Pineda is 7th, 1.3 behind Esteban Gomez. Esteban Gomez in T11 is 7th. Esteban Gomez entering the pits is P7. Gerson Robia in T7 is 2nd. J.Enriquez is P5 on softs. Esteban Gomez exiting pits on mediums. Juan Barbosa is 7th. Ricardo Pineda entering the pits is P6. Ricardo Pineda is 6th. Gerson Robia on lap 18 is P2. Christian Gomez entering the pits is P1. Christian Gomez is P1. J.Enriquez in T7 is 5th. Ricardo Pineda exiting pits on softs. Jose Miguel Moncada entering the pits is 3rd. Jose Miguel Moncada is 3rd. Christian Gomez exiting pits on supers. Juan Barbosa is 6th, 3.6 ahead of Ricardo Pineda. Jose Miguel Moncada is P5 on softs. Jose Miguel Moncada exiting pits on softs. Ricardo Pineda in T12 is 7th on softs, 2.8 ahead of Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Sebastian Aristizabal in T11 is 3rd, 1.4 ahead of J.Enriquez. Sebastian Aristizabal entering the pits is P3. Gerson Robia is P1, 4.7 ahead of Christian Gomez. Jean-Pierre Ferrand in T8A is P8, 0.4 behind Ricardo Pineda. Jean-Pierre Ferrand passed Ricardo Pineda for P7. Sebastian Aristizabal exiting pits on mediums. Sebastian Aristizabal is P5 on mediums. Gerson Robia entering the pits is P2. Gerson Robia is 2nd, 4.4 behind Christian Gomez. Ricardo Pineda entering the pits is 9. Juan Barbosa in T6 on lap 20 is 6th, 4.7 ahead of Jean-Pierre Ferrand. Jean-Pierre Ferrand was 1.5 faster last lap. Gerson Robia is P3 on supers. Gerson Robia exiting pits on supers. Ricardo Pineda is P9. Ricardo Pineda exiting pits on softs. Jean-Pierre Ferrand entering the pits is P7. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is 7. Gerson Robia is 3rd. Jean-Pierre Ferrand is P8 on supers. Jean-Pierre Ferrand exiting pits on supers. Jose Miguel Moncada is 4th, 4.3 behind Gerson Robia. Sebastian Aristizabal is P5. Ricardo Pineda in T6 is 9. J.Enriquez in T5 is 2nd. Jose Miguel Moncada in T5 is 4th. Best lap is a 1:30.212. 1.894 off the fastest lap. Juan Pablo Arango in T9A is P10 on mediums. Juan Barbosa in T9A is 6th. J.Enriquez in T8 is 2nd on softs. Sebastian Aristizabal from Colombia in T7 is P5. Esteban Gomez in T7 is 7th on mediums. Best lap is a 1:29.876. 1.558 off the fastest lap. Juan Barbosa entering the pits is 6th. Juan Barbosa is P6. Esteban Gomez in T11 is 7th. Esteban Gomez passed Juan Barbosa for P6. Juan Barbosa is P7. Juan Barbosa exiting pits on mediums. Jean-Pierre Perrin in T4 is P8. Best lap is a 1:28.881. 0.563 off the fastest lap. Esteban Gomez in T9A is P6. Jean-Pierre Perrin in T9A is 8. 0.5 behind Juan Barbosa. Jean-Pierre Perrin was 24.9 faster last lap. Esteban Gomez in T4 is 6th. Jean-Pierre Perrin in T4 is P8, 0.3 behind Juan Barbosa. Ricardo Pineda is P9 battling Jean-Pierre Perrin. Juan Barbosa is 8. Best lap is a 1:30.082. 1.764 off the fastest lap. Sebastián Aristizabal is 5th. Juan Barbosa is P8. The leader has just finished the race. Christian Gomez finished P1. Ricardo Pineda finished P9. Esteban Gomez finished 6th. Jean-Pierre Perrin finished 7th. J.Enriquez finished P2. Juan Barbosa finished P8. Juan Pablo Arango finished 10. Gerson Robia finished P3. Jose Miguel Moncada finished P4. Sebastian Aristizabal finished 5th.